That's what it is. Though it is American Institute of Chemical Engineers, but it's a global presence of chemical engineers that you can think about. There is a lot of pressure coming in the definition and exercise of chemical engineers. Biofield is coming and trying to get engaged with the chemical engineering professional, which is by needs, I think. And as I said, I did not put any slides to show you, but I jotted down something. The way I see the leadership, what the leadership is all about. Creating a trustworthy relationship is very, very important to create trust. It takes time to create trust, but you can break it very, very quickly. If you are not dependable, if you are not doing things that mentor-mentee is the relationship. I saw a lot of things of that nature when I was the chair for STS. Leadership is driven by a clear vision and anticipation. The anticipation should be there. What are you expecting? We are doing something here. There is the expectation of what you are trying to achieve, right? It's very, very fundamental from that standpoint. When people are off track, don't reprimand them, direct them to the right direction. That's leadership. If you see something somebody is trying and sincerely going in the wrong track, help that person. Bring them back. Bring him back or bring her back and be on the track. Never assume you what motivates the person you are interacting with. Interaction is very, very important, and openness about it is extremely important. So, as we said that we got 2 ears and 1 mouth, there is a reason for it. You listen. We need to learn how to listen than as much as we talk. So listening is very important. Leaders don't command people to obey, they invite people to follow. Great leaders serve, and I put that in a capital part. You have to serve. You don't be leader and they say that everybody is going to follow you. It doesn't happen that way. By voting and all that, that is one way, of course. But you serve. If you are serving properly, you will be attracting a generation to follow you. That's very important, I think. A true relationship with no trust is like a cell phone with no internet connection. There is no internet connection. What are you going to do with my cell phone? I can't do anything, right? So that is important. Don't make a promise you can't keep. It's very, very over-promising something. Well, I will do this, I will do that. But if I can't deliver, your trust or the relationship is going to be broken. No one of us is as smart as all of us. What I meant here, that if we can congregate, if we can do things together, instead of if I can replace that with us, it makes a lot of difference in the leadership. Building trust is a journey and not a destination. That's why I feel. Create a motivating environment by effective communication, as I was saying. We need to communicate well and transparently to make things transparent to the group, transparent to the society, transparent to any organization. Practice to learn, listen more than talk, which I already mentioned. So this is my summary of the leadership skills as I see. I jotted down. Thank you. Thank you so much.
Okay. Thank you, Syamal. A very good segue to the conversation now. If Bill, you can show the next slide, which invites questions, I think. We have two ways to provide questions from the floor. One is, of course, have someone with a microphone go around. Do we have an extra microphone, please? Yes. Okay. So if Carol can take that microphone, raise your hand, please. That's one way. The second way is get out your cell phone and go to menti.com and type up your question. We'll go back, please. And also you can scan that barcode that I put there. That code is the code that works today. I noticed the one we put on our website expired a couple of days ago, so I have to create a new code. So don't go to the one in the website. That's the new code. 35101742. We already have 3 questions submitted from the last week, so I can start with those. And Emily Jackson, she's going to be watching it. Emily, is there a question that's really making it to the top at the moment, or there still? How many do you have over there? Yeah. 3. Okay, good. I have those 3 in my printout, so I can start with those. And please let us know if there's more coming out. So I'm going to pick one that we had certainly a very relevant panelist here. How does AIChE address the leadership development needs of its members? And that our Billy Bardin will be able to answer that.
Oh, sure. I can take a stab at it. Like AIChE is part of our role is to be as Syamal said, the global home of chemical engineers, but we also have a goal to be lifelong education source and partner for all of our professional members and our student members. Most of you may be familiar with AIChE Academy. This is a part of AIChE where there's lots of leadership development courses. Some are in person, some are online, some are on demand these days that you can download. If there's something specific you want to search for, you can go to AIChE Academy and search for those courses. If they aren't there, it's easy to get in touch with one of us or the staff in order to see if there's content available. In the last couple of years, actually, AIChE has rolled out a new overarching organization or program called ILI, the Institute for Learning and Innovation, and this is designed to be the career-long source and focal point for educational opportunities, from career discovery and internships as a student all the way through professional development courses and leadership development courses as a professional, either a new professional to the your organization or a very experienced professional along your career. You can go to ILI, the Institute for Learning and Innovation, and look for opportunities to explore new careers, to change jobs, whether you're looking for your first job or your 30th job. The other thing I would say is from a volunteer leadership perspective, Syamal was on the board, the foundation trustees, Lori was with me on the board of directors. Many of us have served on the various different local or national leadership organizations, operating councils, or some of the divisions and forums. AIChE has a great opportunity for those that want to have leadership development through experiential learning, by leading teams in the institute, by running a division, being a division chair, by being a local section chair, by being a member or a leader on our operating councils, which are the three main organizations of AIChE that actually execute the volunteer activities. So our Societal Impact Operating Council, our Continuing Education Operating Council, and our Technology Operating Council. You can be on the board of directors. Anyone can nominate themselves to be on the board of directors and run for election. Through those things, you get to experience leadership opportunities that you would not get to experience in your career or at your job. I mean, I never set out to be president of AIChE. It's one of those things that opportunity came. And I can tell you I learned a tremendous amount about our profession and out meeting individuals and how to present and represent our profession as being president of AIChE. So plenty of opportunities to learn. You have to take advantage, and you'll get out of it what you put into it.
Thank you, Bill. Maybe Lori, do you want to expound or also other points that on this subject?
I think Billy covered a lot of it, but the one other thing I would mention too is if you're at a meeting, whether it be the spring meeting, the annual meeting, or any of the meetings like this, AIChE does a lot of things on leadership development. We don't just offer technical talks, but there's a whole leadership development topical. There's a lot of the ideal programming that are great leadership things. So there's a lot of free sessions and webinars and things available as well. So, but thanks.
Yeah, even the management division actually we have as an opportunity, and we started recently the entrepreneurial community for those that are interested in entrepreneurial leadership. So Lori's correct. There's a lot of opportunities.
Bill, you could probably put Laurie's picture all over the screen. I think everyone has jotted down the number now, so we're good. We can see Laurie bigger than life.
Yeah, that's better.
There you go. Good. Excellent. So, Syamal, would you like to add anything from your experience with AIChE that it hasn't been covered already?
No, I really feel, as I mentioned, and we claim, and that is the fact, that AIChE is the home for chemical engineers worldwide. I have met, I have volunteered for many, many years. I learned by doing the voluntary work.
Gotcha.
I learned more than what I gave. That's the way I feel.
Gotcha. That's
So
nice.
it's a great organization. And we got leader. Now you are the leader leading the
Yeah.
organization.
So I may add one more point, maybe 2 points. One of that is that we started in 2023 a new program, or restarted something that Syamal and his executive committee started in 2016. It's the mentorship program. So for those of you online or who will be listening to that later, we're going to restart the mentorship survey at the end of January, so people can express their interest and their motivations about being mentored by seasoned engineers in our South Texas section. Which brings me to the second point. Guess who is the AIChE president for 2024? Does anyone know? It's Alan Nelson, who is also from the Houston area, a member of STS, and I think he's is it Floor? SOB. So we have a lot of capacity and talent in this area, and let's not underestimate how fortunate we are. So we really can take example from Alan, Billy, Syamal, many of those of you around here, which I see you on the table. So I'm going to go to the second question from online, which is probably very popular for many of you especially in the junior experience. How do you view the impact of AI on the chemical engineering industry? And I'm going to ask Syamal to answer that first, and then see if we can add more later.
I think it is coming in a big way. That's the way I feel. AI is going to impact. To what extent? Sometimes it brings some concern as well. So I don't know how the future is going to be transformed with the AI's impact in not just in chemical engineering worldwide.
Mm-hmm.
So that's the way
Okay.
I view.
Laurie, anything to add here? Especially
I
with
guess the one thing I would add is that it does give opportunities, since it is a relatively new area. It gives opportunities for people to become experts and leaders in that area. So it's something that, a lot of us spent most of our careers where it wasn't even a thought. But if you're young and you're good at it and you're a chemical engineer, but you're also interested, it's an opportunity for you. So it definitely is an opportunity to use your leadership skills.
And certainly, an AI does not go alone. It needs a human eye and human leadership. Because, if you think that the manual labor or maybe the mundane labor could be done by AI, I believe leadership actually will shine and become more outstanding. Because that's where you need more leaders and less workers. So, Billy, any insight from AIChE? How does AIChE address that future of AI?
Well, we certainly see this as a grand opportunity for chemical engineers, especially those that, as Lori said, learn the skill set, understand how to apply that tool. We have through our big data programs at AIChE, and the spring meeting is one of those that will be in New Orleans later this year. Whole sessions on the application of AI in chemical engineering, whether it's from a research perspective and materials development, or through the use of process control, looking at opportunities to access states for reactors, for example, we might not have been able to control in an unsteady state fashion previously. And I think there's plenty of, and in fact we see it already at Dow, plenty of opportunity to use AI to accelerate some of the work that our engineers in the plants have to do on a daily basis, whether it's writing procedures or looking at maintenance, looking at the application of machine learning more specifically for safety, process safety events, and determining how those happen and what the outcomes and learnings will be. But it's a new skill set or an upgraded skill set that we required, and that's something to add to your leadership toolbox.
Thank you. Let's get some questions from the floor, please. And please address which of the panelists would you like to address the question, or everyone?
I'll address this to all of you to comment. You know, I've heard that the best test to see if you're a leader is to turn around and see if you have any followers. And I've been a big advocate for many years of servant leadership. The idea that the primary job of a leader is to serve those people that he works with and associates with. So, and there's a lot of stuff online that you can find about this, including, you know, like a 10-question quiz to find out if you're really a leader. So I thought I'd ask if you guys are familiar with that and what your thoughts are.
Okay. Who wants to take that first?
I mean, I can go, I guess. I'm not
Okay.
familiar with the quiz, but I'm definitely familiar with the concept of servant leadership, and I completely agree with you. I mean, a leader is not someone who's supposed to be above people. It's supposed to, you know, a leader makes everyone below them, everyone that reports to them better. A leader is, their job truly is to serve. So I completely agree with the concept of servant leadership.
Anyone else?
No, it's core, I think, to what leader expectations are in our current day and going forward. People want to know that their leaders care about them, that they are working for them and working with them to accelerate their impact. Goes to the core of servant leadership. I think you clearly see the difference today in those that are able to advance and those that are not able to advance through the impacts that they have on the organization and the reputation that they build with those with whom they lead.
Okay. All right. Good to cover. Covered. All right. Good deal. Let's get the next question.
All right. Can everyone hear me?
Yes.
Okay. This one, Dr. Poddar, thank you. I think you answered a lot of my question with some of the notes that you've shared when you did your introduction. But for the other two panelists, one question I have is that we've talked about not only technology being different, but the workforce being just different, right? I think Billy, you had mentioned, Dr. Billy, you had mentioned that you know, no one's going to stay at a company for 30 years, or for the most part, that's not the normal. Okay. So as leaders in the industry, looking down at the newer generations coming up, how do you guys keep an open mind? You know, Dr. Poddar, that's what you said is a big part, an open mind and being willing to be interested in new ideas. So how do you guys see that as this new workforce comes up with wanting different work-life balance, wanting different company culture? Just curious how you keep an open mind, not necessarily how you address it, but how you guys as leaders keep an open mind and are willing to accept some of those ideas.
Laura, you want to go first?
Sure, I can go. Yeah, I guess, you know, one of my favorite quotes is actually a quote by Gandhi, and the quote is, "Live like you were going to die today, learn like you are going to live forever." And I think that really kind of talks about what you're saying. People want to have a life. They want to do more than just, you know, be tied to their job, but you still need to, they still need to learn. There's opportunity. And I think the world has changed to the point where that you don't have, you are working from elsewhere. We're using our phones, we're using our computers, we're not sitting in an office. So it is different enough where, you can have, I guess, more of a work-life balance in some ways, less of a work-life balance in other ways. But as a leader, I think you just need to realize that people are different. There's a lot of diversity of mind, diversity of culture, diversity of race, all kinds of diversity. And none of them are really, they're all equally good. They're all equally capable. And as long as someone is performing, I think you just really need to, have some flexibility there and be clear on what the requirements are, what the expectations are, but leave flexibility on how they get there. And so that's my thoughts. Billy?
Yeah, I would say, look, most of the major corporations, and especially the Fortune 500 companies, almost all of them have implemented some sort of flexible work schedule or design your day or whatever they happen to call it, that allow telecommuting, to allow the use of Teams or Zoom for facilitating of meetings and collaboration. As a leader, and when I look at my teams, one of my roles is to try to take the best components of everyone on that team to put them together to be something that's greater than the sum of the individual parts. And in doing that, you have to account for how people want to work, what makes them work more efficiently. I think Lori's correct. The boundaries between home and work are significantly blurred today compared to, say, 2019, in December of 2019, before March of 2020. There's a advantage and disadvantage of that. One is that people are more readily accessible any time of the day, and can be. The other is that you have to turn your phone off. You have to take time away. And as a leader, we have to respect that, and we have to understand how to maximize the benefits. I do think there is the opportunity to make sure that the new hires coming into companies today, they expect a certain type of culture. They expect to be able to communicate on demand. Email, for many of our new hires at Dow, is an old-fashioned way of communicating. It's much faster and much more versatile to communicate with a text or Teams IM or something like that. And so it's up to us as current generations in the workforce to change how we communicate and adapt. But at the same time, companies have a culture. They have a history of how they've worked. They have reasons for certain ways that they worked. And I think there's a two-way street, that culture and the reasons for that culture existing have to be communicated, and it also has to adapt to be vital for future generations and for the future of those companies. You see it in the academic as well as in the government labs and in industry itself. This is it's definitely a different kind of working arrangement and working style. There's benefits and downside to that all have to be considered. As if we're in management or we're in R&D or finance or commercial, we have an opportunity to work from home more. But the folks that are in the plant, they're in the plant. They're not telecommuting. They're driving down the ship channel, or they're driving out to West Texas to run those facilities. And so understanding how they see their job having to be in the site every day versus an administrator that may not have to be in the site also is an important consideration. You don't want to develop a class system within a company.
Okay. Next question, please. Yeah, there's a hand there.
So thanks, everyone. I have questions for all the panels. Actually, I have two questions, if I can ask two questions. The first question is, what are some of the ways that young professionals can practice leadership? When you're young in the company or young in the profession and we're not leading an army of people, what are the ways to practice leadership so in the future we can be a good leader? And the second question is, why are you guys leaders? So what are some rewarding things being a leader, and what are some challenging aspects of being a leader?
Okay. So
I can take the first one.
Okay.
I'll start with the first one. I think there are leadership opportunities everywhere, and as a young professional, if you don't have them direct in your job, I think you can practice by looking them for elsewhere. I mean, Billy mentioned AIChE has lots of leadership opportunities in the divisions, in the local sections, in programming. The other thing is, even in your company, maybe you're not in a leadership role directly, but are there committees you can serve on? Can you serve on a safety committee or a committee within your company where there's leadership opportunities? You can serve on leadership opportunities in your communities. I mean, you have different, Chamber of Commerces and things like that. And just really the best way to become a leader, read, study, look at some of the books, but the best way is really by doing it and seeing what works. So take advantage of these opportunities is to grow your skills by becoming a leader. And if it's not directly related to your job, but these associations that are associated with it are great ways to practice.
Anyone else?
I don't have any other addition to
That's
this. I think it's the fact is that's the way it's going to make progress.
Okay. So that's the first question. Anything to add on the first question, Billy?
I think
good.
yours.
Yeah, I would say one thing that came to my mind, which we didn't mention today, and I think that's going to be required from the young generation, is entrepreneurship. And of course, the traditional way is about making your own company, finding a product, a service, a software, whatever it is, and taking the leadership of the market and of the people around you who help you commercialize it. But now even big companies or medium-sized companies want an entrepreneurship. So that's one way to practice leadership, because you're really starting a new product line. I think actually I will compliment Ida Chen from Dow came to the KME show and talked about 3 new products that she participated as a project leader who came to the market. That's leadership. But anyway, so that was, I think, number 1 we covered. Number 2, can you remind us again, it was about the challenges, I think you said, right? Okay, so I think we have it. We don't have to repeat it. Let's start with Billy.
Yeah, so it was a challenge of leadership and sort of best thing is being a leader. For me, one of my favorite things about being a leader is having the opportunity to impact the careers of others around me in both administrative roles, so positioning them for a new job or positioning them for visibility with my leadership, for example. Having them have that opportunity and then seeing them succeed at that opportunity and even go beyond expectations, beyond what they might expect. Being able to identify the talent that they have and help them cultivate that talent so that they exceed their own dream or desire. That's really a lot of fun. There are always challenges in leadership. Leadership, as I said in my introduction, isn't easy. You have you can have difficult challenges, difficult conversations that you need to have with individuals that require practice and preparation, no matter how experienced you are as a leader. It's never easy as a leader to have to give someone a corrective action, for example. When I have people come talk to me in our industry about being a leader, I ask them, usually they're sitting across from my desk or in my office, I ask them 2 questions. If you want to be a people leader in our industry, can you look somebody across the table and fire them? That will probably happen if you're a people leader. And the second thing is, can you look their family across the table and tell them that somebody at their family member got hurt at the office or got hurt on the job or isn't coming home from the job? Those 2 things are probably the most difficult. And in one of my situations, we've had the safety instances in my group, and you understand where, as a leader, you had a role to play in the reason that safety incident occurred. Taking a learning from that and understanding what mistakes you aren't going to make next time. Those are critical things that aren't easy to internalize.
Laurie, would you like to add anything to that second question?
I think Billy really covered it well, so I don't have anything to add right now. I think, to me, the biggest joy, as Billy said, is being able to impact someone else's life, being able to inspire someone else. I mean, that's the best part about being a leader. And as far as the challenges, there are many, but I think he hit on 2 of the biggest ones. So,
yeah, Syamal?
Challenging is very important. That is, through that challenge, the new avenue is going to show up. So, I think that's the key.
Yeah.
We need to be challenged all the time what we are doing.
Right.
And that brings the transformation of what
Yeah.
is going to move forward.
I will bring also another challenge that I encounter as a leader, and that's probably hard to share, and maybe something that people don't want to hear. But there will be people who do not like you when you're a leader. And they're going to try to trip you. They're going to try to badmouth you. They're going to try to upset you. And you have to really know yourself, have solid foundation on your values and doing the right thing. Support, of course, from your management that you're doing it that collectively, and whatever other people are trying to do to you, it has to be grounded on facts, not on hatred or jealousy or whatever. But certainly something that people run into, because it's not a perfect world. Not everyone loves you, especially if you have delivered difficult news. Yeah. Any other questions? Emily, from the floor or from the online, please?
There was a question asked of me to ask. There was, I guess about 10 years ago, maybe this is directed to you.
Can you speak louder, please?
About 10 years ago, there was a blue ribbon task force within AIChE. Is that kind of what's transformed into kind of the new leadership aspects that you've mentioned a little bit earlier, or is that?
Oh, well, 10 years is going back a long time.
Right.
There are, so the Blue Ribbon Panel or Blue Ribbon Task Force, that's a nomenclature typically for a presidential Blue Ribbon program or a program that one of the presidents has that they would like to advocate for or like to implement as part of their presidential year. I'm not sure about a presidential leadership task force on leadership itself. That was before my time on the board. I started on the board in 2016, the first year. There have been more recently, there's a Blue Ribbon Task Force on mentorship that my predecessor, Christine Grant, started, which is looking at how to mentor individuals, both young and less experienced and experienced in their career, to accelerate or to change careers. But leadership development at the Institute itself has been ongoing for many, many years. And the programs like ILI, which started also as a presidential program from Monty Alger and Deb Gruby, who were 2 and 3 presidents ago, they all came out of presidential directive. But there's been many different types of leadership advancement programs within the Institute over the last 15 or 20 years. So if there's something specific, I can dig into it if you'd like to have an answer.
Okay, one from
Possibly.
Kirtan.
Okay.
So in the session previously, there was a principle of inversion that was taught. So we've talked about what are the characteristics of a good leader. Can you talk about what are the bad characteristics of a leader?
Of a bad leader?
Sorry?
Of a bad leader?
Yeah.
Okay, gotcha.
So that people can learn to avoid those things.
What is leaders is not? Okay,
Yeah.
I like that. That's a very good way to frame a subject. Not what it is only, but what it's not. Okay, maybe we start with Syamal, because you had something on your checkbox there.
I already described what I feel, and I think each element of it probably talks about the leadership quality, and not just that, how you impact, how it get challenged. I think that is the key. It needs to be challenged in every possible way, which will give new directions and new way.
And a
of
bad
looking
leader
at it.
does not like that challenge, right? That's what you're probably trying to say.
Thank you.
Okay, what would be a bad leadership trait that has a very negative impact? Maybe many of them, but...
Yeah, there's a whole list, and in my, you can create a list as long as you have as many leaders you've ever had. One of the things I focus on in the people leader training that I do at Dow is having the right leadership style for the individual. So tailoring your approach as a leader to their needs. And one of the things that we hear back on feedback from people that have leaders perceived to be bad leaders is that, for example, they use a style that doesn't match their needs. You have a brand new hire that's starting with the company, and you basically tell them to go do something with no guidance, no boundaries, no guardrails. You're setting them up for failure. Or you have a very senior, very experienced person, and you try to micromanage their day-to-day task in running a project. So applying a style that would be more analogous to a new hire, to a very experienced hire that's capable of doing those roles. Those two things always come up to the top of the list as qualities of a not so great leader.
Okay. Laura, can you tell us one?
Yeah, I guess a couple that I can think of too. A leader that's not honest with their people, that lies. I mean, clearly that sounds obvious, but there are a lot of leaders that will tell one person one thing and tell one person the other. And I think, the lack of transparency is not good with the leader. I mean, you need to, if you want someone to do, you need to be honest. I find micromanaging, it just really keeps someone from, it's not a trait of a good leader. And then a leader who just thinks that their way is the only way to do things and measures people, in relationship to themselves. So, I mean, I think, a leader that's completely closed-minded and thinks their way is the only way things can be done is probably not a good trait of a leader. But
Okay.
at least those are the characteristics of the leaders I've had that I felt were not great leaders.
Thank you, Laura. Good. So we're running to the end of our session, and I really appreciate the fact that maybe more questions, but we have to find another way to answer them. Maybe we go to Engage and do that. I don't know. That's an idea, right? Because we have the online tool. I still have the obligation to close the session, and I would like to close it actually with closing statements by each of our panelists, including myself at the end, about what would we do different in our career when we started if we knew what we know today. And I think that would be a really nice closing remark, because that's something maybe you can take and apply to your everyday life, professional life. Is that a good arrangement? Okay, let's start with Lori.
Okay, yeah, before we get to that, Andreas, one question. I know I had said that I have a book, a leadership book that I would like to donate. One of the books I recently read is called Love is a Business Strategy.
Can you bring the slide
I
up?
actually met the authors, and I have an autographed copy of that book that I would like to donate to someone. So maybe there's some way we can have some of a raffle. I was hoping to bring it and give it in person, but if not, I'll just mail it to the winner. But it's a great book and talks about the new style of leadership. And since we're in Houston, it's a Houston-based team that wrote it. It was actually originally inspired at a Tom Herman University of Houston football game. So it's something that I think a lot of us can relate to.
So thank you, Laurie, for donating that book. I put it there on the slide. So I have a really challenging way to find the winner, because I don't know how to really do a draw now. Take my email address, sts-pastchair@aiche.org. The first person who sends me an email after midnight tonight will get the book, okay? So which means you have to find either an electronic way or you stay up late tonight.
It's an AI challenge.
That's a torture, right? Okay, so let's start with Laurie, then we can close this now.
Okay,
but it's certainly a very good book, and I think I like the philosophy of love and care, because that's what I was going to say about what a bad leader can be, the one that doesn't care about his people. So, yeah, Laurie, tell us about what you would do different.
If I had to do different, I guess they're somewhat related, but there are two things. I would take more risk, and I would not wait. If there was a job I was interested in, I would apply for it, even if I wasn't sure I was 100% qualified. I think early in my career I was more conservative. I didn't apply for things because I figured, I don't have 100% what they want, so I'm not even going to put my name in the hat. And I wish I had taken more risks. As I got older, I learned, and I took a lot more risk towards the end of my career, but I wish I had done earlier more risk, and really, if there was something I wanted to do, make it known to everyone, throw my hat in the ring, and make it happen.
Yeah, Syamal?
Yeah, it will be open it up to get others to come and help. You don't do it everything yourself. You embrace the strength that you can bring in others to come and participate. Mm-hmm. I think it's very, very important, which to realize, I would have realized at the very beginning of my career, probably my career will be in some or other direction moving. So that's the way I feel, looking back.
Okay.
You know,
Thank you.
I can give an example. When I became the chair of the Fellows Council, AIChE has fellows, and there was a Fellows Council, and I was voted to become the chair. The first thing I did is that bunch of fellows to sit together and discuss. I like to see that I open it up for any member. He or she doesn't have to be a fellow to come in. Let them come and see what we discuss. And believe it or not, we got quite a few young aspiring to be fellow in the future were there. So this is the kind of thing I think we need to do more and more.
Very good. Appreciate that.
This is the forum that you created. We didn't have it.
And Lauren, yeah.
We really give you a lot of credit
Yeah.
to start something like this. You know, we never had this.
And actually, we have Dan here. Dan Kenyon, he has already a LinkedIn page for this event. Maybe we can really continue the conversation there with the questions and the dialogue. We could go to engage, but we have already LinkedIn startup. So let's finish with Bill, and I'll give my 2 cents also.
Yeah, well, I'm still young in my career. So I only have 24 years in. I have another at least 25 to go, probably.
There you go.
We'll see. I would say for me, if I could change one thing, I would spend. I started my career. I spent 14 years in R&D. I would have spent much more time understanding manufacturing operations and plant operations at an earlier point in my career. Would have helped me a lot along the way. I learned a lot along the way, but if I could change one thing, that's probably it, and to take a little more risk in accepting those manufacturing positions versus staying in my comfort zone of R&D.
Great, thank you, Billy. Actually, my wishful thinking also was about that respect. It took me about 10 years to realize that Shell had an upstream organization. I was still stuck in West Hollow doing downstream technology, and as soon as I actually connected with them and I transferred to them by coincidence, my career shot up. And I said, what was I doing 10 years? And I was doing, of course, good things, but it could be much faster, for sure. Thank you, everyone. I'm very happy for the outcome of this panel. Let's thank our panelists, especially Laurie, for connecting 1 hour later also, of course, and from far away. I'm glad the technology worked. Let's thank our audiovisual team, Trevor Rice, Carl Smith, and David Stodgen, right? Yes, and Bill for organizing.
Thank you.
Yes. Good night, everyone.
Good night.
Bye, Laurie.